This is O.G.Starwars, your Legends girl, trying to make it in this discounted world, and today we are going to discuss Force Ghost, compare and contrast between the original lore and the Disney Star Wars lore. A Force Ghost was a soul or essence of a deceased Force sensitive who denied the will of the Force, although they could interact with the living. According to the knowledge contained by Ashley Crimson's holocron, it's a knowledge that did not have to be learned. It could be achieved by denying the will of the Force. Force Ghosts could only interact with non-corporeal entities and could not harm or be harmed by the physical realm because of their spiritual nature. Force Ghosts could hover above ground or glide above ground. They can walk as if they're influenced by gravity, and they also could solidify enough to interact physically with the environment. One notable Jedi that could solidify enough to interact with the physical realm was Aiden Bach, who shoved Tosh around through a door. So we see Obi-Wan in Empire Strike Back, where he does interact with the physical realm a little bit by being able to move, brush, and sit down a log. So that's another example of another Jedi that is able to interact with the physical environment. However, through the lore, they cannot harm or be harmed by the physical realm. Qui-Gon was the one Jedi that was able to relearn how to become a Force Ghost by learning it through the Shaman of the Wills, in which he taught Yoda and also taught Obi-Wan while Obi-Wan was in exile protecting Luke. And so we get that in the lore. And let's go ahead and take a look at the Disney Star Wars canon of Force Ghosts. Let's discuss Disney Lucasfilm version of their Force Ghost lore. So basically it does need training, that's established, and we also they retain their identity and can communicate with the living. Also, the knowledge would only be attained by those who are strong in the light side of the Force. Additionally, Qui-Gon learned it but did not complete his training. Therefore, he can only manifest as a ghost or as a voice. And also Yoda learned this ability during the Clone Wars by exploring Dagobah, Moribon, and also to the worlds that has the midichlorians, I guess you could say. So that kind of goes against Revenge of the Sith, and we'll go more into compare and contrasting both lores of the Force Ghosts here in a few seconds or minutes. So we have training, we have they can retain their identity, we have they are spiritually immortal, and we also have that it has to be learned. If you don't learn it fully, then you could just manifest through voice, and that Yoda learned it. Also, they can manifest anywhere the Force is strong, and they can also manipulate the physical realms, which means they are stronger in the Force now that they are Force Ghost. That is established. And examples of that is when Yoda brings Force lightning down to the tree to catch it on fire, and then also when Luke uses telekinesis to raise his X-Wing out of the water on Ahch-To. All right, and then they also will go to the netherworld of the Force. So this is all established in the new canon, our Disney Lucasfilm canon, that Force Ghosts basically are powerful and can manipulate the Force, and we do see it in the movies. All right, let's compare and contrast. So we learned with the original lore that it's not necessarily need to be trained. However, you have to learn how to deny the will of the Force, to be a Force ghost. And we also learn that you cannot be harmed or harm the physical world. Now, this is the original EU Legends lore, okay? And we also learn that that they also can solidify to a sense to help others, but it's not common. So we go to the Disney Lucasfilm part of the lore and we get the total opposite of that. Now Force ghosts are very, very powerful. They are they are spiritually immortal, but in contrast to the original lore, they cannot harm the physical realms because of their spiritual nature. So there's a huge difference right there. So Disney Lucasfilm lore, basically they can manipulate and harm the physical realms because they're spiritually immortal, and Legends or original EU, they cannot harm themselves physically or in the physical realm because of their spiritual nature. So kind of wrap your head around that. Which is better? I'd say the first one, because they are not supposed to be all powerful. They are denying the will of the Force to travel on into the will of the Force, the Force realm. And a great example of that is when Kenobi said his goodbye to Luke Skywalker in Heir to the Empire. And that is such a great scene because he goes and says goodbye to Luke, telling him that he is strong in the Force and he will become stronger, and to watch out for his allies because his allies are going to basically come in unexpected ways, and that he could no longer deny the will of the Force. And in the new Disney Lucas canon, they are spiritually immortal. So that leaves a lot of questions and a lot of plot holes with the movies, because if they're spiritually immortal and can manipulate the physical environment because they're so powerful in the Force now, where were they during the Clone Wars when we had Jedi dying? Where were they when Luke needed them during his trials, his hero's journey, and also combating Palpatine? And where were they to help him combat Palpatine so that he does not rise up again, as we see in Rise of Skywalker? And so those are some contradictions that we see here. And comparing and contrasting, we see that the original lore does the Force ghost lore very well because it doesn't contradict the movies. It actually enhances them and complements them. But Disney Lucasfilm Force ghost lore does not. It leaves a lot of questions to why weren't they there for Luke? Why weren't they there for Leia? Why weren't they there for Anakin when Palpatine was manipulating him? Why weren't they there for the Clone Wars? Why weren't they there, pre-prequel era, which we don't have any or anything established just yet in Disney Lucasfilm? But also, why weren't they there for Luke when he was going on his journey to learn more about the Force and establish his academy? Why weren't they there for him when he was facing down his nephew, Ben Solo, when Ben Solo was being corrupted and manipulated by Snoke, which we know is now Palpatine? And where were they for Leia when she was pregnant with Ben Solo and still being haunted by Snoke or Palpatine now, when facing all that? Where were they? So it leaves a lot of questions with this new direction they're taking the Force ghosts in the new lore, because they are all powerful now. They are spiritually immortal, but in the original lore, they are spiritual beings, so they cannot harm or be harmed. So this is something I just wanted to throw out there, compare and contrast. And we did get like a few Jedi that can almost solidify to help out, but like Bok and but that was very few, far in between, and hardly even ever seen. And then again, we had Obi-Wan, who manipulated and sat on the log and manipulated the grass or the weeds. However, he was not harming and he was not causing harm to himself. So there you go. So please leave any comments down below. Let me know what you think about this little revelation between the lore on Force Ghosts, and what do you think all about this new revelation? I wouldn't say new. Some of you guys may know already and seen the difference, but if you have not, here it is. So comment below, like and subscribe. Let's keep this channel going strong. I am very blessed by all of you guys. We made it past 700 subscribers, and let's keep growing, keep moving, and keep sharing this lore. Remember, Coffee Chat is coming up, and Legacy of the Force novel review, lore review, is Betrayal. So thank you so much for coming in. Like and subscribe once again, and may the Force be with you.